Hey everyone, it's the Daily Schmooze, and it's a Saturday edition, July 15th, another hot and muggy day here near Philadelphia. And so let's talk about what's going on in the world, right? Um, well, first of all, I got to tell you, the Phillies are playing a doubleheader today against the San Diego Padres. And doubleheaders are kind of rare in baseball anymore. Of course, the Phillies are playing. I have my Eagles gear on, but that's another story. I'm ready for football. Um, Double headers. It's a day-night doubleheader. So the first game is at 1 o'clock. Second game is at 7 o'clock. Two admissions. They pack the stadium for the 1 o'clock game. Everybody gets out. Then another crowd comes in. It's typical greed. It's what sports are nowadays, greedy. Because, back in the day, they had such things as twilight doubleheaders. So you would get two games for the price of one. Usually those games would start at 5:35 and you would have your two games that it was always a part of the schedule. Um, and in between games, you would have entertainment, like maybe for 20 minutes. Uh, I remember some of the things the Phillies used to put on in between their games, either at Connie Mack Stadium or Veterans Stadium. Things like they would throw money on the turf, money, and they'd have people trying to pick it up in so many minutes, or they would have home run derbies between retired players, or they had all kinds of crazy games, but fun stuff to keep the fans entertained in between the games. Um, but it's not that way anymore. It's like everything else, things change. And now the big deal is if there is a doubleheader, and usually that's because of a rainout or some sort of a cancellation. Um, the games are day night. Uh, Two games, two prices. So that's going on today. Um, there's been a real revival, for the 1980s, the 80s. 2 days ago was the 38th anniversary of Live Aid, the big mega concert that played in London, England, and here in Philadelphia. And for the last few days, I've heard so many people reminisce about Live Aid and about being there, what it was like to be there, what it was like to watch it on TV. And we talked about it the other day about how great it was, and the particulars about Live Aid, how they some of the artists were scheduled to appear but never did appear, like Billy Joel, Paul Simon, Michael Jackson was supposed to appear, and there were different reasons why they didn't make it to the concert. But it was still a great lineup. I mean, in Philadelphia alone, you had so many great artists, Mick Jagger and Tina Turner together, and uh, just great. England, I think, maybe had the stronger lineup because they had the Who, Paul McCartney, Queen, uh, incredible. Anyway, my point is that there's a big revival of the 80s now. And people are reminiscing about the 80s hairstyles and the clothes and the TV shows and the movies. And what a great time it was. I love the 80s. That was like my decade. Um, First of all, with my situation, I didn't fracture as many bones in the 80s. So that was pretty pain free. And that's when I went to college and got out in the world, met girls. It was a fun time. But I love the 80s. I love the Back to the Future, the movies, and uh, the music. I still listen to 80s music. So it's kind of cool just to, I don't know how many people out there remember the 80s or love the 80s like I do. But it's kind of cool to hear people now reminisce about the 80s. And having lived through it, it's brings back a lot of memories and say, yeah, I remember that. Or, sometimes you don't remember stuff and younger people bring it up because they're researching the 80s and it rings a bell and say, yeah, I do remember that. So, sometimes you get remarks, especially on social media, about being old, being, oh, you're an old guy, you're too old. And yeah, that's true. But, but I like my age. And you know why? Uh, because I've lived a lot. I've seen things. I've experienced things like the 80s, like the Live Aid, that people who are in their 20s, even 30s now, uh, never experienced, never saw. So I would say to anyone out there who is over 50, 60, be proud of your age. Uh, you've seen a lot, just like I have. You've been through a lot. I mean, think about it. The 80s, there was no cell phones, personal computers. Well, most people didn't have them. Uh, it was just a simpler time back then, but it was a fun time. People made their own fun. Yeah, Trivial Pursuit. Remember Trivial Pursuit? I think it's still around, but back in the 80s, that's when it started coming out and stuff. And um, it just seemed like a lot of fun. People were partying a lot, and it was just a fun time. You didn't have all this crap going on in the world that you do now. So anyway, that's my spiel about the 80s. So I'm happy to be 66. I'm happy because I've experienced a lot and I've seen a lot over the years, and I'm happy. I'm happy for it. So, what else is going on? Oh, I saw that. Speaking of social media, the actor Kevin Bacon, who's a Philadelphia guy, by the way, and who has been to our local Colonial Theater more than once with his brother, the Bacon brothers, and they sing songs, and they've been down there. Um, and of course, everybody knows Kevin Bacon from what is it, the 3 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, that uh, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who is attached to Kevin Bacon in some way, either by a movie or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I saw on social media that he was on the other day making breakfast for himself. His wife was sleeping, Kira Sedgwick or whatever. She's a very nice lady. And he was making breakfast for himself and didn't want to wake her up. That was very thoughtful of him. Um, but his concoction, what he was having for breakfast, was really weird. And he warned the people while he was doing a video that this is going to be strange. He made a soft boiled egg and he made oatmeal in another bowl, and then he mixed them together. And on top of that, he put sugar, butter, something like that. And he mixed that together and he ate it. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty gross. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And my initial thought was, why isn't Kevin Bacon eating bacon, right? Why isn't Kevin Bacon, if you're watching this, pay attention. Why isn't Kevin Bacon investing his money in bacon, right? He could have competition with Oscar Mayer or whoever makes bacon out there. You call it the Kevin Bacon Bacon. Kevin Bacon Bacon. And make his own kind of bacon, right? You could put the bacon with the oatmeal and make us, I don't know. Anyway, it looked like slop to me, but to each his own, right? Speaking of to each his own, did you see that on the news? And I made the news about the World Hobby Horse Championships in Finland. went on recently. Now, I guess, first of all, everybody out there, you know what a hobby horse is, right? It's a stuffed head of a horse, not a real horse, but a fake horse. And it's just a head with a stick sticking out of it. Yeah, like this head, and then you would have a horse's head on top of it. It's like the Godfather. Um, but and what you used to would as a kid, you would have the hobby horse and you would ride it. You would just pretend you were riding a horse and gallop and ride around, and it was kind of stupid when you think about it, but that's what kids did. Um, no kids that I knew had hobby horses on my street, but whatever. Um, so anyway, unbeknownst to me, there's like championships, hobby horse from primarily Finland, but competitors from all over the world flock to Finland once a year to have the hobby horse world championships. Now, and here's the thing: people have their own hobby horses. They decorate them and they ride them around. It's just think of it, like the Olympics when they're having the gymnastics competition and they have the different, the floor exercises and the high beam and the rings, and that's what these hobby horse people do. They ride the horse around, you know, and they jump over fences, little fences, and they do all kinds of stuff like raise the horse up a little bit there and witty, and they have stalls for the horses. They feed the horse. They pretending they're giving the horses, I guess, oats or whatever, feeding the horses, and they give each horse a name. Uh, to me, this is really stupid. I mean, what the hell? What's going on in this world, right? I mean, to each his own, but I don't know. Finland must be really a weird country. I've never been there before. I've heard about Finland. I've heard people over there are very depressed. It's like the most depressed country in the world. And no wonder why. If their like main sport or one of their main sports is hobby horses, riding hobby horses around the floor, jumping over little tiny fences and doing weird stuff with it, shit with it. I just don't get it. Anyway, the video that was out, and by the way, you could find this online if you really want to look it up. I don't think you want to, but if you want to. Um, so the video is, people said it's getting a lot of views because people are not only laughing at these people prancing around the floor, all dressed up. These people are dressed like they're actually riding a horse. And so people are either laughing at it or find it fascinating. Some of the comments are, wow, this should be an Olympic event. Really? It's just so stupid. It is stupid. But apparently they participate in this competition for money, and they win money, and the I don't know if there's a trophy like the Stanley Cup with a horse's head on it. I don't know. But they go away from Finland, this little town in Finland, proclaimed world champion hobby horse rider. And I saw it's like it takes place like in a high school gym or something. And the stands, the bleachers are like not even a quarter of the way filled. You got to wonder with the handful of people there at the competition, what is wrong with them? I mean, it's just not. Anyway, so I saw that and I thought right away, that's a topic I got to bring up on the show. Uh, and that's the thing about this show. And that's why you got to hit the subscribe button or hit like or whatever it is that makes this show good. because you never know what we're going to talk about. I don't need to talk about politics or anything heavy, too heavy, because there's enough crazy crap going on in the world every day that I just have to do a little research and dig up some of this stuff, and my show is already set for me. So there you go. So anyway, so tomorrow is Sunday. I won't be on, of course, even God rested on Sunday. So I'm going to take a break. I have tickets to go to the ball game, but it looks like we're going to get thunderstorms. So who knows if there's going to be a game, right? But anyway, I hope everybody out there has a great weekend and a great Sunday. And I'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, I'll be doing a lot of research so that we have a really good show on Monday. All right. And tell your friends to watch. Take about 10, 15 minutes out of your day. Sit back and watch, relax, and just share the daily schmooze with me. So have a good day, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.